They'll be calling you a radical. So back to the epic catastrophe, the biggest story, the biggest story in human history that no one's talking about. The cover-up of Fukushima, the greatest ecological catastrophe in fucking human history, bar none. Bugs gone, mosquitoes gone, fucking trees fucking dying, all the tide pools fucking dead. Wells are in collapse, anchovies at 97%, sardines at 97% collapse. Now the salmon in Alaska are in epic free fall. As Kevin Blanch hypothesis had told you verbatim, every single fucking word. BP fucking blows. No, BP fucking sucks. Fuck BP. Fucking fuck TEPCO. Fuck Hitachi. Fuck Mitsubishi. Fuck the Obama administration. Fuck Holdren. Fuck Lisa Jackson. Fuck Gina McCarthy. Fuck Trump. Fuck the Obamacans. Fuck the Trumpets. Fuck the hypnotized fainting ghosts that have all played a fucking long. Fuck Fox News. Fuck Fox News. Fuck CNN. Fuck Sanjay Gupta. Fuck Anderson Cooper. Fuck all these fucking players of the greatest fucking cover-up, the greatest crime. And if you don't think this can be done, just think about this. Who's the most accomplished, greatest activist? Most accomplished. I mean, activists. I like these people to say they're activists. What are you accomplished? No. Activism's hard work. The most accomplished activist in 100 years is easy. Ralph Nader. I listen to Nader speak because I don't have a TV and I don't watch TV because it makes me fucking want to puke every time because all the advertising just bombards. You can't watch it. So he speaks. He was talking to Hedges, and I'm not a big, I like Hedges, but he's after the fact. Naomi Klein, all of them, they're way after the fact, and they don't address, they're geopolitical, and they're good, they're smart, don't get me wrong, but it's always after the fact. It's regurgitation, and, geopolitical, and, they're all over it, but Nader is the man. So he speaks, and he says, you don't think this whole country's hypnotized? Everybody's fucking, he says it's like a plumber. He says these law students go to law school at Harvard Law, and he called out Harvard Law, just like I've been calling them out, is the head of the fucking snake. He says they go to these fucking major law schools, he says, and they're so fucking hypnotized, regurgitating fucking goats, fainting goats. He says they understand how to fix the plumbing, but they don't even know where the water comes from. And he's got it. He says, I'll prove it. This is Ralph Nader himself, the greatest, most accomplished activist in the world in the last 100 years, bar none. He says, I sent a handwritten letter to the top 20 law schools in the country, asking for just a response, just wanted to have a little Q&A with them, blah, 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 talking about some issues, blah, blah, blah. Now, he gets into detail when Obama killed I believe it was 1784 Act. Obama, fuck, what a rat. What he did to whistleblowers, what he did to Aaron Swartz, the cover-up of Fukushima. He says, none of them even responded. He says, I got one response, and it was like a secretary homogenized. Think about that. You don't think this country's hypnotized? I've read the transcript from the situation. I told you every fucking word. The greatest crime in the cover-up of Fukushima. Inside the Situation Room, Obama, Holden, I told you Holden took the fucking keys. Now it's out. I told you that fucking word per word, right out of Obama's mouth, right out of Holden's fucking mouth, right out of all their mouth, fucking Haas Cartwright's mouth. We have to cover this up. We have to cover this up. That's all they said. We have to cover this up. The American populace can't know. They never talked about fixing it. They never talked about trying to fight. All they talked about fucking was cover up, cover up, cover up, cover up, cover up. The American populace can't know. The American populace, they went after me. These are felonies, what they did to me. The United States, all the trolls and everything, the PR firms were funded and paid by the United States Department of Energy, and I could prove that they fucking went after me. I could prove, while I'm in critical condition, the son of a Special Forces Marine. Now, you think a lawyer would come forward and fucking help me out? They kicked me off Medicaid while I'm under fucking AML leukemia, and that reminds me, so today at the City Club on 25th Street at 3 o'clock, anybody you Ogdenites, you self-righteous fucking pieces of shit, phony fuck. We love cancer. We love cancer. We love the Huntsman Cancer fucking Institute, the luxury good. As long as you're dying and you're all quiet, kumbaya. I have AML de novo leukemia, as you know. Is there a cure? We don't know. I'm alive. But to declare myself cured, I'd have to be a fucking ignorant fuck, wouldn't I? I declared myself cured one like a dumbass before. And my aortic valve failed, and I had open heart surgery a year ago. Fuck, I was feeling all fucking tough and fucking strong on Earth Day this year. I had a booth out there, and my gallbladder fucking ruptured from the chemo. Almost died again. I've been in the throes and the fight of my life for 7 years, given 2 months to live. With AML de novo leukemia, the survival rate's less than 1%. AML leukemia, the survival rate is so fucking low. Now, this is not juvenile leukemia. So there was a little girl named Molly right up there in North Ogden. A lot of people right here got leukemia. Kevin and Carla, as you know, I've dedicated my life, you know, my activism to her. She was 35 running the Ogden Marathon. She had de novo, had a good pathologist, I had a bad one. They figured hers out. We were in the 2 simultaneous cases in the LDSC state bone marrow transplant 2012, 2013. Kevin and Carla. Both had de novo. Beautiful young woman. Hardcore, strong. Had 2 bone marrow transplants. When I was at the San Onofre hearing, that historic event, when we got them shut down, she died. The youngest we had ever heard of was an 8-year-old named Molly up here. She died. There's a 4-year-old. You heard me right, a 4-year-old. Not juvenile leukemia, which is very curable, which is a horrible disease these children have to go into. I mean, nightmare. The picture on the fucking front of my Facebook page is a girl named Allison who got AML de novo, which was one of the youngest in history at the time. I think she got it in 2011, right in Fukushima. She was 16. She spent 4 fucking years straight in primary children's. She's alive. Her hair never did grow back. She still keeps it bald. The 44 that I was in there were recruiting Marshall Jensen, the famous historic case. First HIV injection. Has a little boy that was born right then. Light the Night, which you fainting goats won't participate, I do. I go to Light the Night, they give us survival balloons now. The survival circle, it's all 30-year-olds with bone marrow, because bone marrow transplants rarely work on older people. My doctor knew it probably wouldn't work on me. They sent me home. They thought I would die. I walked the coast of California, proving to time pills. Everybody thought I'd die. I didn't die. She's 4. She has AML. It's the youngest we've ever heard of. I mean, it's heartbreaking. How'd you like to be the mother and father? I mean, make you cry? You don't know. I used to invite people into the bone marrow transplant. There was a girl named Megan Melissa right here, born and raised right here. They were massage therapists. They call it erotica. They like it on AML patients. They like fingertip. Besides, they don't like it from a finger touch that you're used to. Whatever. They fingertip you all over your body at the same time. You can't have a deep massage. It'll kill you because your platelet counts are so low. Have to wear a mask. I mean, I was quarantined in there. I mean, it's brutal. It's hardcore. It's a fucking death sentence. They're the only 2 girls I invited all over Facebook, YouTube. Come in, come in. Buck Fimble Peterson, they don't let people in bone marrow transplant. He says, he's an anti-nuclear. So is Vincent Hansen, the guy who saved me, his father and brother. He says, I'll give you permission. Let him fucking come after me, the administrators. By the way, he's moved to Boise right now because he knows the cancer epidemic's breaking loose up there because nuclear waste blowing all over there. He's from Copenhagen. He's from Denmark. My Danish philosophy mind. I had a dream. They're the only 2 that would come with me. The rest are cowards and weaklings. Just like Nader says, they're hypnotized, they're cowards, they go along, fuck, they don't know. They spent the day in there on a field trip. They saw the females in there sucked up to 70 pounds dying, fighting their ass off. They just cried and cried. They both will tell you to this day it changed their lives forever. Go talk to Weber State has that fantastic nursing school ran by Ecology's bone marrow transplant nurse who started and ran it. I know her. It's the only thing good about that fucked up fucking nuclear fucking scumbag school. It'll change your fucking life, but nobody will do it. I was head of the support group, and people say, oh, he's scary, he tells us, come on, fight, blah, 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 it's God's will, God's will. It scares every person that said it was scared is dead. This is such a brutal fucking disease. The group that I went in, my doctor will say, in 2011, 2012, we found these cancers were more acute, they were more aggressive. There was a young woman in Seattle who got fucking cancer, oncologist, a young breast cancer oncologist. She made the news up there in 2012, saying how this cancer post-Fukushima was more acute, it was stronger, it was more hardcore. That she got it and died. I mean, just like Marshall. Fucking, He was in the room next to me. Look it up, the HIV. It's working now, by the way. There's lots of cutting-edge stuff that's coming through. I did it holistically. I did it with beet juice. I did it with carrot juice. I fucking did it with my mind. I did it fighting back the people that give cancer. That's the key. Fight back. Fight back against the people that tried to kill you. We can't fight back. People won't go. People come by, yeah, it's God's will. No, it's not. I used to make people read the last fucking chapter of fucking East of Eden, Tim shall thou mayest. That's the Old Testament. Men are responsible for their actions. Fight back. Fight back. I was asked in Europe, in Austria, 3 years ago when I was fighting the nuclear cartel there, I was asked, Kevin Blanch, what are you? Who are you? I'm a grandfather. I'm a father. I'm part of the ecology. I'm like the tree. I'm like the blade of fucking... I'm like the mutated sunflower on the ancient lake floor. I'm like the mountain. I'm like the butterfly. I'm like the grizzly bear. I'm like a mosquito, free to fly. I'm like the salmon in the sea. I'm like the cougar. I'm like the elk. I'm like the fucking deer. I'm like the blue heron. I'm like the red-winged blackbird. I'm like the songbird as she sings. I'm part of the ecology. That's who I am. And none of you can get that. You're part of the ecology. I am the water. I am the wind. I am the fucking whistles of the doves in the morning. That's what I am. Don't you see we're all part of this fucking ecology? This is the greatest ecological task, and you're all going along your short, pathetic fucking lives. You're really going to make them be meaningless? You're really going to go out zeroed out? This is beyond bizarre. Curses spite that I was ever born to set this right. For Cassandra and Hamlet, they had a fucking son on the ancient lake floor. A mutated fucking twin. Nuked at San Onofre. And he sees for miles and miles. Oh, curse his spite that I was ever born to set this fucking right. But I was. I have the emails of Jerry Brown. I have Hillary's emails. I have everything that's such. Remember, I was the only one that had the field. I was the only one that reported. They went after me. They squashed my view count. They attacked me. They hired fucking PR trolls. They kicked me off Medicaid. They physically tried to fucking kill the son of a fucking Special Forces fucking Marine. Nuked to death in the Nevada test site. A pillar of the community who did everything fucking right. Fought, fucking did everything, tried to save you from you, and the fucking United States government, his own government, his own people, the state of Utah physically went after me and tried to kill me. While incur felonies. There is no Atticus for me. But I'll say this to all of you fuckers that went after me. I have some rue for you, and I have some for me. But you must wear yours with a fucking difference, you unconscious fucking ignorant fucker, for you will rot in the lowest form of fucking hell called the black hole. First came the god of salmon. You will rot in hell for time and all eternity. You're not going to heaven. Heaven and hell, there's both. You're going to hell. On the fucking wheel of ecology, on the fucking turn, the big wheel in the sky, you will be sucked into a black hole. Your soul is over. You disgusting fucking vile pigs. You go after me as I try to save the fucking world. Try to save you from cancer. Try to save this little girl from getting AML leukemia. And you go after me, I'll await you fucking all. The people that stayed with me, supported this historic fucking work, our fight goes on. I'm doing a fresco today. I haven't picked up my Hawking trial fucking really in earnest. I haven't done a fresco in 7 years. Because I've been afraid of the fucking paint. I've been afraid of the paint. I'm doing one. I got it all laughed up yesterday. I'm going to plaster it today before I go to the event. I support her. I support all people, these fucking mass murders and murder, because they can't speak. Carla, Paul, Tracy, Judy, my father, Annika. I support them all. Kevin, don't you remember? Don't you remember? Lord, I remember. Lord, I remember. Don't you fucking cry for me. You fight for me. You fight for me. You fight for me as I held their hand as she passed to the next place. Young, beautiful, articulate. That's who it takes, right? Only the good die young. Fucking Go along. You go along with this fucking winning team. This is the greatest ecological fucking catastrophe in human history. We don't count dead humans and bone marrow transplants in this. HIPAA laws fucking hide you dumb fainting goats, good useful idiots. Oh, I do. We don't count dead starfish, fucking dead fucking tide pools, fucking dead sardines walking the coast. Oh, I do. We don't count fucking dead mosquitoes. We don't count dead collapsed fucking eagles on the fucking ancient lake floor. Oh, I do. But we count every fucking salmon. Why? Because they have an economic benefit to these fucking scumbag fishermen up there who cheat and fucking lie. They could have got on my team. You're ruining my fishing. They lie. The Oregon fishing game, fucking all you fucking scumbags, go along. Fucking the Mitchell Act, fucking go Chamber of Commerce, fucking dirtbags. Fuck you. We count every fucking salmon. They're in fucking epic free fall. You can lie all you want. Skinny, sucked up. They go to sea for 5 years, Chinook. This collapse is in earnest. It is epic. It is historic. It's the ecology, stupid. And Fukushima, which is a plasma. It's a plasma. As I've said, a gas, a vapor called plutonium. It's a plasma. And the guy who covered it up, a plasma physicist from Cal Berkeley, a eugenics named John Hogan. I told you. Make it be. They Lumen Labrat, their own men on the U.S. right, knowingly. Who did this? The United States government. The DOE. And their dumb, useful fucking puppets. Remember, Barack Obama's mother died of fucking cancer young. Inside the Situation Room, Barack Obama, we must protect the nuclear industry at all fucking costs. We cannot let the public fucking know. Donald Trump to a B, back and forth. We must protect fucking the world economy from not knowing this fucking catastrophe called Fukushima. We're working on it 7 years later. Cancer awaits them. Hell awaits all of them. The greatest crimes in fucking human history have been committed. And fucking, as Nader says, they're hypnotized. No one gives a fuck. It's a hypnotized fucking populace. They're so fucking Harvard Law, these law schools, these sick fuckers, as he says. They know how to fucking work on the pipes, but they don't even know where the fucking water came from. Ralph Nader. Stay tuned. Sad fucking commentary on this fucking place. And it's not the whole world, by the way, because I've traveled abroad and I've been all over. Oh, they talk. They know. Europe fucking all knows, Taiwan all knows, China, the whole world knows, not North America. You need to learn to speak American. Who? American Vespucci? He spoke fucking Italiano and fucking Spanish. And by the way, Trump says the two Mexican fucking wins in the World Cup. Talk about a sports metaphor. Mexico beats Germany in Russia. Think about that. He says that's fake news. Fuck Trump. Fuck Obama. Fuck the Obamacans. Fuck the Trump heads. Fuck the fucking so-called political left. Fuck the fucking right. Fuck the Democrats. Fuck the fucking Republicans. Fuck them all. Not me. I fight for her. She fights for me. Just remember this, James Carville on Balco. It's the economy, stupid? Nope. It's the ecology, stupid. Stay tuned.